at talking about the theory of everything. Okay, so you have mass. This is part 2. We have time and a vector. This is a vector, which means it's going in a direction. So we have 2 vectors. This is the symbol that I created for this. We'll do the squared: C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7. This is the multiplication factor, which is an exponential expansion. This is a divisional factor. So we do C2, C3, so on and so forth. Now, why did I do this? Well, because not only is there in the theory of everything from Albert Einstein, there's one thing that his theory does not predict, and that is faster than light travel. So in order to get to the next level, which would be like an anti-gravity sort of device, like a UFO, right? You have to be able to jump locations in time and space. Which means if you appear here, you start here and then appear here, then you can see that you have traveled this fast in time and space. So therefore, you would have to have the mathematics that broke the energies down at those speeds, right? Okay, so that's why we have an infinite amount of time. Not only an infinite amount of time, because the universe is infinite, right? Now, that implies a lot right here, infinite. And I'll go over that later. So you see, the theory of everything changes society. It changes everything. So I'm always wrapped up in things I cannot win. You're the antidote that gets me by. Alright, so back to my theory of everything. Okay. So that's why I did this, because there had to have been something that allowed the speed of light to be equated. Now it took me, God, almost a full year of constant thinking to figure this out. So now, if I connect these two together within time and space, okay, so we're going off quadrants of space, what I found out was that the point in the middle, right here, 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 all the way through for infinity. Now remember, infinite. And we'll go over infinite later, for those who are just waking up to the idea of infinite. Right here we have m2, right? So it's just interesting that E equals mc squared. Right here we have m squared. So we have an equilibrium occurring here at every conjunction. It's mass squared, all the way down the line. So I called this the equilibrium. This is the equilibrium. Equilibrium. So now that we've covered equilibrium, we can just for simple sake call it neutron, right? Or neutral energy, which is equilibrium. It's neutral. It's a neutral energy. It's a cancellation of energies, but it does create something. You can call that antimatter or whatever. It's all gravity. Now, this is the exponential factor, so you can just say, just for now, we call it proton, right? Or a positive repulsive force. So we have a push force here. And here we have a deductive sort of behavior that the universe does, in fact, do. So we can call this negative, okay? So we have it. Positive, neutral, negative in this symbol here, okay? Now this helped me to understand that it is possible, because if you take mass times it by the speed of light, you're going to get these energy numbers here, energy numbers here. So you're getting a negative force and a positive force that you would have to know in order to propel this thing to here, which jumps that much distance, which is a lot actually. And so in fact, a spacecraft of anti-gravity will not travel like this across. It jumps because it now exists whenever it puts the energies into its ship to create the bubble of warp. In a sense, it's kind of going like this. So here's the ship, right? And the energy that it creates will create, let's say to C6, will create sort of a gravitational force within its own self. We have a negative deductive energy here and expansiveness here. We have a neutral equilibrium right in the middle because that's the actual mass that has to travel within the universe. So it goes boom to here right away. Thus, even though in its dimension it looks like it's traveling in a sense a straight line, I don't know what happens mentally when you actually travel the speed of light, but I do know that it hops like this, and it will hop in that same quadrant because that's the energy that it's producing. All right, so we have that, and you can see how that would work. Now this got my mind thinking into how this actually would function, but there's actually more to it because, all right, so I got that, we figured that out. To me, I figured it out, right? But then we had the problem of what is mass, because if I can do this symbology of creating mass going through the universe at infinite speeds, which it's not, it's jumping due to the force that it's creating in here. It's jumping these spots. And of course you can look up UFO videos and you will see the ones that travel very fast almost have this sort of skipping rock pattern here. Okay, so the next video we're going to look into mass itself, and this is where my theory came to a close.